start with today's Tanya portion. Okay, so we were learning in Tanya about the Beinoni, and let's just go through the message. We discussed it at length yesterday, but the message is we want to say like a coach in exercise, like an exercise coach, a guy who helps you work out. The goal always is to push you to the max. So you burn calories when you're pushing it. As long as you are not pushing, you're not going to burn calories. So the goal in life is to really work on ourselves. Like that's our mission in life, is to always push, work and grow and push and become a better person and to change who we are. So that's the whole purpose and mission of us in life. So if anyone is standing still, that's not okay. That's not a Beinoni. You have to be a person that not is a servant of God, but actually serves God. And that's the right level that a Jewish person needs to stake. So if you reached a level, if you worked out and you're amazing. You could bench press 100 pounds, 200 pounds. You're not done working. You have to keep on working and go on to the next level. Let's see that in Tanya together. We'll see that inside today's Tanya. Okay. Always pushing, always go to the next step. And this will understand Mashakasu the Gemara, what it says in the Gemara. The Ovid Elikim, who is someone that serves God. Very interesting. It's the guy who studies 101 times, reviews his studies 101 times. And not someone who doesn't serve God is someone, the guy who only reviews the studies 100 times. Why is that? So he explains that the style back in the day was, in those days, it was the nature of everyone. They would always, very interesting, they would review their studies 100 times. Perhaps the reason is because in those days they didn't have books. They couldn't write down anything. So you might never see your teacher again. You might not remember the information. So when they would study something, everything they would learn it 100 times. And that was the nature. Everybody had it. Maybe today, like I would say the nature today, in Talmud, I remember in yeshiva, I was with the kids, we would learn 3 to 5 times. We would review every piece of Talmud 3 to 5 times. Like, you have a test. In school, your teacher teaches it to you once. You review it for homework. That's maybe your second time. Then you have a test on it. You review it a third time. And then at least 3 times. And then there's some people who review the whole tractate of Talmud together. So that is, but then in those days, it wasn't 3 times, it wasn't 4 times, it wasn't 5 times, it was 100 times. Maybe you didn't have pens and papers and so on, and you'd have to really, you didn't have a computer, you couldn't save it anywhere. You really reviewed it 100 times, everything you knew. So what he says is, what makes a good student? Who is a student that really works on himself? Someone who learns it 101 times. So you could say, what's the big deal? The other person reviews it 100 times. This guy reviewed it 1 more time. That makes him special. Why? So we're going to say that the key here is, it's not just the mere fact that you reviewed it 1 more time. That's not what makes it special. It's because it hurts you to do that. That's where you're pushing yourself, right? It's the same thing. Someone does 100 push-ups. They do 100 push-ups every day for a year. No problem for them. That's not hard. Where do you feel your muscles? Where do you get ripped? Where do you feel the pain? If there's no pain, there's no gain. When you go beyond what you could do. So maybe one guy's very weak, and for him, it's hard to do it 2 times. 2 push-ups. That's amazing. He pushed himself to 2 push-ups. So the guy who did 100, he needs to do 101 because 100 is very easy for him. So in life, we always have to push ourselves to go on to the next step. And he gives a good example in the Talmud over there. There was a rental place. You could rent a car. It was Enterprise. So an Enterprise back in the day Avis, they had donkeys. Again with the donkeys. They had the donkeys that you'd rent. You could pick up a donkey. You could get the Sheikh's donkey if you want. You could get Moshe's donkey. You could get Lavin's donkey we're going to learn about. Which one do you want? Do you want the Tesla? Do you want the full size? You want the compact car? What do you want? So here's how the market in the donkeys worked. Here you go. Here's the price. It tells you if you went on enterprise.com, it would show you if you wanted donkeys.com, then it would say you want to go 10 Parsi, which is Persian miles. You want to go 10 Persian miles, 10 parsa. You have to pay a zuz. You got to pay a zuz. I don't know, let's say $100 bill. You got to pay $100 bill. You want to go 10 parsi. But ula'achadasa parsi, if you want to take our donkeys 11 parsi, you now got to pay double from the whole thing. Trey zuz. You got to pay 2 zuz. You got to pay $200. Why? Only taking the donkey one tenth further. Because now you're already stretching the limits of the donkeys. The donkeys can't make it so far. You're not able to go. We can't carry that load. It's too much for them. It's not nature for them. So you're really, really, using the energy of our donkeys. At that 11th mile, by the way, it's like this in the marathon, right? That the last mile of the marathon, I did it, right? In Miami twice, 2 years, we did a half a marathon. That last mile is equally hard, perhaps, to all the 10 miles beforehand, because it's much harder for you. Therefore, so the 101th time, you say it out of the Gilus, it's more than the nature from what you grew up. That was the nurture that you got. Shkula Keneged Kula, and it's actually equivalent to hard work you're doing to all of them. So what does this mean in our world? Saying like in our world, let's say in yeshiva, we're used to learning it 3 times. To do it that 4th time, that's the kicker. Right? When you're asked, you come to shul every day and you're asked to stay there, you get used to staying there for 45 minutes. And then you have to stay an hour. You're really being pushed on that day. Or you never go to shul. And then you go to shul once and you're asked to go for 15 minutes. That's more than your nature. So everybody's got to go up. Like everyone at their own level of growth. The whole point is pushing the envelope. The Yeser says is that 11th mile, the 11th parsi that the donkey's going. Oh my gosh, that is equal to all the 10 parsi he walked. The Snicker Abdul Kim, because that makes that change. He has a different title. He's now called a servant of God. You understand? The 100 times a person learned, he's called a servant of God. The 101 time he's serving God right now. So the goal is not in life to reach a plateau which will be comfortable. The goal is to actually be uncomfortable, to always grow. Because in order to change your nature, what do you need? You need much more energy to go that 11th mile. You need to dig in much deeper to yourself. You need to love Hashem to a much greater degree. You need to get in touch with such a strong love in Hashem to contemplate for that going out of your nature step. To overcome the nature in your left ventricle of your heart, to overcome your animal soul. That's from the unholiness. That from your animal soul is your tendencies, your animalistic tendencies. And this is the perfect service of the Beinoni. That's what we want. We want the constant struggle. Because you have to get in touch with the within the recesses of your heart. You got to find that energy within you, the godly energy within you, to overcome the struggle that you're having. So the guy who is not struggling, he just needs a little bit of love for Hashem. The basic factory, the regular factory produced item. But when you want to serve Hashem beyond your nature, then you got to dig up a much deeper sense of love to Hashem. To fight against his nature and the evil inclination. Through awakening up, he awakens the love of Hashem in his heart. However, if you're going through life without a war, that basic factory made love is not called serving. It's not called that you're serving God now actively. You maybe reached a level, but you always got to push the envelope and grow in your Yiddishkeit to the next and higher level. And that is the end of today's Tanya. Any questions or comments? Yeah,
it's kind of like if you make a donation at a certain point, you're at a certain level, you just make $1 or $2 more, and you bumped up to the gold level.
You're right.
Just make that little extra effort.
I like that. But by the way, that's a very good example. It's a very good example. But talk about the person's nature right now, right? So we all have our boxes. We all have our boxes that we're in that we think is normal. Whatever you are, whatever anyone's level is. So by some people, it's true. Giving $1 is hard for them. It's beyond their nature to give $1. It's not in their nature. And to them, that $1 is painful. Very, very painful. And they're overcoming their nature. Another guy grew up, his parents taught him that you're always supposed to, it's not all about you. You're always supposed to give to other people. They love giving. For them to give $1 is not beyond their nature. For them to give $100 is not beyond their nature. But then how do they dig in? They give like whatever amount it is that causes them discomfort. That's where you want to go. That's exactly where you want to go. It's exactly like exercising, exactly like the workout thing. We want you to go where you're uncomfortable. Otherwise, I'm not doing my job, right? The trainer says, if I'm not making you uncomfortable, I'm not doing my job. So correct, it's in all areas in life, but in donations, it's the same exact thing. You're right. Like beyond, I want to go a little bit even. You're right. Like you're saying, like it could be $1, right? It could be it's $1. Like this is what I'm comfortable with. But now I'm going to work on myself. It's not about me giving. You're right. It's not about the tzedakah you're giving. It's about working on yourself. Actually, it's about your giving, not about what they're getting. I'm working on myself by doing more than I want to. And by the way, it's the same thing with when you think like an organization doesn't deserve it, maybe even, I'm going to give anyway, because that's working on yourself. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know, maybe I'm sure there are places you shouldn't give, whatever, so on. But no, that's exactly in a way where you want to give, to work, to grow, to become a better person is where you're not comfortable. You always want to go a little bit. You want to push the envelope. In life, you got to push the envelope to keep on growing, so we're not staying in plateau. Right, awesome. Very good. Thank you all of us for joining. Thank you for joining all of us. We didn't dedicate this class by anyone, so we'll dedicate it by Ira. Thank you, Ira.
It's paying back already.
What?
It's paying back already.
There you go. Yeah, of course. Of course. We have to recognize the people that are making this class.
Did you see the names that I did earlier? I wasn't here. I don't know if you saw the names for the healing.
I said the names and I said your names. I said Menachem Mendel and I said Tova. That one also, of course. Yes, I have them. I have them here.
Great.
Thank you, Ira. Take care, everyone. All the best. Have a good Shabbos. Same time, same place. We're going to try to keep the class.